Cal had only two goals that shift: finish replacing the faulty coolant pipes and find a place to relieve the growing pressure in his bladder. One of those things required skill. The other required urgency. So when he saw a door with unfamiliar glyphs but a universally recognizable icon, something vaguely toilet-shaped, he didn't hesitate. No translator popped up, no warning sirens blared, and more importantly, no occupied light blinked red. He entered. The sound that followed could be described only as a melodic shriek mixed with the furious hissing of royalty being insulted. "What are you doing in my throne chamber?" She was 8 feet of glowing, opalescent fury perched on what definitely looked like a toilet. Only it was gold-trimmed, had hovering crystals around it, and emitted a low hum, like it was powering a small city. Her gown was hiked up, her antennae were flared, and her violet eyes were wide with disbelief, and wore paint-level eyeliner. Cal froze mid-step. I didn't know someone was, already throning. You dare barge into sacred reflection? She roared. I was just trying to take a leak, he blurted, hands up. I thought this was a bathroom. Her gasp could have sucked the air out of a vacuum-sealed chamber. Bathroom? You dare reduce the throne of purification to a mere receptacle for waste? She stood now, robes flowing dramatically, voice shaking the air. You flushed my throne. I tripped. Cal pointed to the panel he knocked with his elbow. That was an accident. A wet one. My hands were wet. You don't flush the sacred seat unless you're declaring dominance over a reigning royal, she barked. Well, I'm not trying to be king of your toilet, he snapped. Her voice dropped to a deadly whisper. You flushed during my ceremonial deposit. That is an act of war in 6 systems and marriage in 7. Cal's stomach turned. Wait, marriage? A pair of guards burst in, giant, glittering insectoids wielding energy spears shaped disturbingly like plungers. The princess raised a finger. This man entered my private chamber without clearance, exposed his tool, and dared initiate the flush of challenge. He must be seized. Exposed? Cal's voice cracked. I didn't even unzip. You're making it sound like I whipped something out and sprayed dominance across your galaxy throne. Her lip curled. Did you not say you were here to take a leak? That's just a human expression. It's not an attack plan. The guards didn't care about human idioms. Cal was dragged out in a headlock, babbling protests the whole way. By the time he was thrown into a holding cell, there were already murmurs across the station, the Flush Gate incident. The next morning, a Galactic Council liaison, a small, toad-face being named Krob, appeared outside his cell with a datapad. You do realize what you've done? Krob croaked. I had to pee. You've asserted territorial claim over Princess Salthera's sacred throne. That makes you either a usurper or a suitor. I'm just a janitor. Krob scrolled through his notes. Her Highness has listed your offenses as follows. 1. Unauthorized entry into the royal drainage sanctum. 2. Disrespectful gazing upon her in mid-deposit. 3. Unsolicited tool proximity. And 4. Premature flushing. I didn't even get to use the bathroom. You used it symbolically. That's worse. Cal facepalmed. Please tell me there's some kind of translator error. Maybe your word for flush means something more serious in her language? Yes, Krob said. It means to forcefully purge and replace existing power structures. And your species has already been flagged for aggressive plumbing practices. What does that even mean? It means you humans install triple flow pressure systems and call it standard efficiency. That intimidates weaker species. Cal groaned. Krob didn't blink. There are 2 ways to resolve this peacefully. You may submit to royal punishment, likely several days of spiritual toilet cleaning, or enter a bonding agreement with the princess to formalize your claim. She thinks I want to marry her because I flushed a space toilet? In her culture, Krob said, adjusting his collar, flushing another being's active throne without permission is considered intimate. I need a lawyer. We already sent for one. She flushed during his opening argument. Cal sat back, defeated. Okay. Just tell me this isn't going to end up on the galactic net. Krob blinked. Oh, it already has. Hashtag FlushLordHuman is trending on 17 planets. You've got to be. Wait. Did you say Flushlord? Yes. The public assumes you're either the boldest lover or the most oblivious rebel in recent diplomatic history. Cal stared at the ceiling. I'm going to die on a space station because I had to pee. Or, Krob said, perking up, you could become royalty. I don't want to be a space prince. I want a working restroom and some damn privacy. Krob leaned in. Then you should have knocked. A second later, the princess appeared on the holofeed, her expression cool, commanding, and completely infuriating. Human, she said. You have flushed what cannot be unflushed. Your scent lingers in my throne chamber. Your boldness has marked the plumbing of my spirit. Cal stared at her, blinking. Lady, I'm not a romantic. I just drank too much recycled coffee. She raised her chin. Nevertheless, the throne recognizes you. Now you must answer, war or union. He hesitated. How long do I have to decide? She narrowed her eyes. Until my next deposit. The line cut off. Cal sank back against the wall and muttered. I've been pulled into a royal flush, and I didn't even get to go. The council chamber smelled faintly of ozone, wet ink, and desperation. Cal stood between two 12-eyed scribes while a crowd of alien ambassadors murmured behind glowing translation panels. Across from him, Princess Southera reclined in a floating seat shaped like a golden bidet. Her posture screamed royalty. Her glare screamed, flush me again and I'll shove your tool into a wormhole. A three-legged moderator addressed the chamber. We now address the incident known as Flushgate. The room stirred. Cal swallowed. The human maintenance operative known as Cal did initiate an unsanctioned flush of Her Majesty's throne during a high-pressure deposit ritual. The moderator continued. This act may constitute either a criminal power assertion or a romantic overture, depending on cultural context. I was just looking for a toilet, Cal said. Not a girlfriend. Southera raised a hand, her voice syrupy with sarcasm. And yet your species' mating displays begin with territory marking. You leaked intent all over my sacred chamber. I didn't leak anything. I didn't even unzip. Then your presence alone was an emotional deposit. She countered. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Cal clenched his jaw. The moderator scrolled. Per Galactic Accord Section 7 Delta, this situation must be resolved via one of three paths: formal apology with atonement, diplomatic duel by ritual plungers, or binding of bonds through throne union. Cal looked at the options and sighed. Atonement sounds painful. Dueling sounds worse. And I'm not marrying someone I met mid-flush. Southera tilted her head. And yet you initiated symbolic synchronization. You touched the flush before my cycle completed. That's a level of intimacy reserved for mates or co-rulers. You make it sound like I reached inside. The throne is an extension of the soul, she said. Would you not be offended if I barged into your waste chamber midstream and poked your plumbing? Cal blinked. Okay, I get it. I crossed a line. But in my culture you knock. You don't sentence people to marriage for opening the wrong door. A rust-colored delegate from a jellyfish species spoke up. The human's explanation aligns with Earth's documented hygiene customs. They defecate in solitude, void of ritual or prayer. It is unsettling. Thank you, I guess, Cal muttered. The princess rose, her voice echoing with regal contempt. So you admit your species flushes without reverence? You see thrones as disposable seats of waste? They're not spiritual on Earth. They're porcelain, not prophetic. Your ignorance offends the universe, she said, nostrils flaring. Perhaps your recklessness comes from tool insecurity. My what now? Your tool. The device you intended to deploy in my presence. Cal threw up his hands. It was in my pants. Still holstered. The chamber burst into argument. The Xantari delegation claimed it was symbolic aggression. The Creole argued that flushing was a marriage proposal on their moons. One species insisted Cal should be flayed for clogging the throne's emotional pipework. In the chaos, Cal was handed a datapad with trending headlines. Human flushes royal throne, sparks cosmic courtship. Earthling tool declared dangerously dominant. Leak of passion or political coup? Galactic debate rages. A new headline popped up. Flush Lord Cal, boldest man in the known sectors? Cal groaned. This is going to ruin my dating life back home. The moderator slammed a gavel. Enough. We will reconvene after the humans offer their proposal. Back in a quieter chamber, Cal met with Earth's ambassador, a half-drunk bureaucrat named Feldman who smelled like stress and reheated noodles. You really flushed during an active royal deposit? Feldman asked, not looking up from his tablet. I didn't know she was in there. You should have knocked. I thought it was a regular restroom. Nothing is regular when there's gold trim and floating crystals. Cal paced. They're giving me two choices. Fight with plungers or marry the princess. Well, diplomatically, marrying in is great. We've been trying to cozy up to her empire for years. A bonded consort from Earth would give us free trade access. You want me to marry a woman who wants me exiled for flushing? Could be worse. Feldman shrugged. They offered another guy a mop duel and he lost both arms. Cal sank into a chair. What if I just go home? They'll see it as ghosting. And ghosting royalty is a decapitable offense. He threw his head back. I'm being punished for flushing. This is my life now. The princess herself arrived moments later, striding in with the calm arrogance of someone who had never experienced a clogged drain. She studied Cal like he was a malfunctioning bidet. We could resolve this efficiently, she said. Agree to a union in name only. Appearances. Shared access to thrones. Occasional plumbing synchronization. Cal stared. You mean a political marriage? No feelings. Just flushing rights. And perhaps, drain maintenance, she said, voice dipping. He blinked. Was that a euphemism? She shrugged. Our languages are tricky. But if I must bond with a tool-wielding savage, I'd prefer one who flushed boldly. He sighed. Okay. But no sinking cycles. And I'm not calling you my queen of the commode. You may refer to me as mistress of the flow. He almost laughed. I guess I'll be consort of the flush? Her eyes twinkled. Or lord of the drain. Deal, he said, shaking her hand. Let's hope this doesn't clog up my future. Behind them, Feldman whispered into his comm. Earth just secured throne access without a single shot fired. This guy really knows how to flush a deal. Cal had been through bad dates, awkward interviews, and one deeply traumatic virtual prostate exam. But nothing compared to the official drainage compatibility ceremony, mandated by the Galactic Council and signed, regrettably, by both parties. First came the mirror thrones. Identical side-by-side seats with synchronized flushing sequences and audio-enhanced cleansing cycles. The room smelled like lavender and raw ozone. He wasn't allowed to sit until a ceremonial horn played a melody that sounded suspiciously like someone humming through a plunger. Throne alignment begins, a voice announced. Zalthera glided in, dressed in royal bathing silks that shimmered with impossible colors. Her eyes lingered on Cal's assigned seat, then on Cal. She didn't look angry anymore. Just intrigued. Let us begin, she said, gesturing for him to sit. Cal hesitated. You know this is still the weirdest thing I've ever done, right? It's standard among my people. Plumbing synchronization determines long-term compatibility. Emotional leaks, spiritual clogs, unresolved pressure. He sat cautiously. The seat vibrated. She sat beside him. The thrones hummed together. Our cycles are syncing, she said with reverence. He stifled a laugh. Is that a romantic thing or are we just pooping in stereo? Your species finds humor in waste, she observed. We have to. If we didn't laugh about it, we'd cry into the bowl. The voice returned. Stage 2, tool evaluation. What? Zalthera stood, producing a long scanner wand. This won't hurt. Cal shot up. Wait, is this still metaphorical? We must ensure our hardware is compatible. You're a unique model. Rumors claim human tools are robust. Surprisingly adaptive. Rumors? You flushed with confidence, she said, stepping closer. We took that as proof of high-pressure tolerance. I flushed because I panicked. You triggered a 7-second resonance cycle. That's not panic. That's performance. Cal groaned. Please tell me this doesn't involve actual plumbing. Only diagnostics, she said, waving the wand near his lower half. It beeped. Interesting. Flexible piping. Internal filters. And self-cleaning? We call it a shower. She smiled. Impressive. The wand beeped louder. Emotional valve detected. Vulnerability leakage probable. He blushed. Okay, now that's definitely too personal. Leaking emotion isn't weakness, she said gently. It's an honest overflow. They stared at each other. The silence felt strange. Warm. The voice chimed again. Stage 3, shared cleansing ritual. Cal blinked. You're kidding. It's a bonding soak, Zalthera said, already disrobing behind a privacy mist. Clean bodies, clean intentions. We bathe before any formal pipe union. Cal stripped down, muttering. This is how you get intergalactic pink eye. They entered the pool. The water bubbled from beneath, tingling at contact. Not painful, just oddly intimate. You humans wash alone? She asked. Usually. Unless it's a date night or someone's too drunk to stand. Strange. We consider cleansing a vulnerable act. No one should scrub without support. Emotional or physical? Both. She moved closer. Not aggressive. Just near. Your tool. I mean cleaning wand. Do you use it only for hygiene? He laughed. It depends on how dirty the job gets. They both chuckled. I judged your species too quickly, she said. But you stepped in boldly. You didn't run. Even when covered in royal discharge. He grimaced. Let's not talk about that moment ever again. She leaned in. Cal, what you did, it violated protocol, sacred cycles, and centuries of etiquette. But it was honest. And maybe honesty is what our alliance needs. He met her gaze. You want to build a relationship on a flush? A very synchronized one. The water pulsed around them. We're not so different, she said. Your kind fears embarrassment. We fear misalignment. But both come from wanting to be understood. Cal smirked. And neither of us wants to clog the future. She nodded. Exactly. They stepped out of the water. The voice announced. Compatibility test, 93%. Drainage systems aligned. Emotional filters in sync. Tool variants, within acceptable bounds. He grabbed a towel. Tool variants? Your equipment passed inspection, she said with a sly grin. He wrapped himself. Next time, just ask to see it like a normal person. That was the normal way. They returned to the council chamber, dripping but clean. The diplomats awaited the results. The moderator asked, Is the plumbing bond affirmed? Zalthera looked at Cal. I've never flushed with anyone. Not like that. He chuckled. I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah. I think we're flush compatible. A cheer rippled across the chamber. Krob fainted from joy. One of the jellyfish wept mucus. And Cal, Earth-born janitor, accidental consort, reluctant participant in galactic bonding, stood tall in a robe he didn't ask for, next to an alien princess he definitely didn't mean to impress. She reached for his hand. I hereby recognize our drainage union. I accept, he said. As long as I get a key to the royal bathroom. She smiled. You've earned full access. They called it the Union of Flush. Across 7 sectors, footage of Cal and Princess Zalthera side by side on their mirror thrones played on every diplomatic feed. News anchors use phrases like, Historic Flow Alignment, Interspecies Plumbing Revolution, and Cal the Bold, Lord of the Drain. He'd gone from janitor to political icon in the time it took to wash his hands. The official ceremony was modest by alien standards. Only 3 hover choirs, 2 laser harpists, and a live broadcast from inside the council's golden restroom. Cal wore robes with water droplet embroidery and a sash that read "Flush first, ask later." His title was formalized: Royal Consort of Flow, Keeper of the Chamber, Protector of Purity. It sounded important until he realized most of the job involved approving toilet seat designs and mediating arguments about bidet pressure. Still, the perks weren't bad. He had unrestricted restroom access, a private suite with heated seats, and Zalthera, confident, curious, occasionally dramatic, had stopped calling him a barbarian and started calling him partner. Diplomatic missions started flooding in. Species previously wary of humanity now sought alliances based on Cal's bold plumbing philosophy. One delegate gushed about Earth's revolutionary use of toilet paper. Another demanded Earth's secret to efficient multi-nozzle output systems. Cal gave a shrug and said, "2-ply and commitment." He didn't expect it to spark a full toilet tech trade agreement. He especially didn't expect Earth's leading plumbing companies to rename their flagship line, the Flush Lord series. But not everyone was thrilled. On week 2 of his consort duties, he was summoned to address accusations from rival royal houses who claimed Earth was weaponizing plumbing superiority. An Insector Duke said, "Your human purge rituals create envy. My son cries because his waste chamber lacks flush harmonics." A delegate from the Moisture Worlds declared, "Your partner installed a seat warmer on her throne. That's sacred space." Cal leaned into the mic. "Your Highnesses, sometimes warmth is just comfort, not a political statement." One council member hissed, "But is it love?" Cal paused. In private, he asked Zalthera, "Is it love?" She studied him. "You're strange. You speak too plainly. Your rituals are rushed. Your tools are rarely ceremonial. Thanks? And yet, you flush for me. Boldly. Without fear. I just needed a bathroom." "Exactly. You needed. And now. I do too." He reached for her hand. "We're really doing this, huh?" "We are," she said. "Your human plumbing has reshaped my entire sector's infrastructure. Even the conservative species are requesting emergency tool inspections." They kissed. It was electric, awkward, and tasted vaguely of sterilizing mist. 2 days later, Cal was handed a list of upgrades proposed by Zalthera's people. Dual throne systems. Shared cleansing pods. Emotional overflow buffers. And a device labeled Compassion Flush Enhancer. He asked what that one did. "It glows when someone's about to cry on the toilet," she explained. He just nodded. "Invented by a poet, huh?" Back on Earth, his old crew threw a party in his honor. They wore plungers as crowns and chanted, "Flush Lord! Flush Lord!" Someone even gifted him a diamond-studded urinal cake. He cried a little. Blamed the champagne. Of course, fame came with fan mail. Some messages were innocent. Some weren't. One letter read, "Dear Flush Lord, I dream of shared thrones. Your pressure control is legendary. Call me." Another said, "Are you accepting consort applications? I have strong pipes." Cal stopped reading after that. His favorite letter came from a kid who wrote, "Thanks for making toilets cool. I used to be scared of flushing." He pinned that one to his chamber wall. Months passed. The council updated its legal code to include a new clause. No flush shall be taken as political unless mutually agreed upon by all seated parties. They called it the Cal Clause. Some said he was a hero. Others called him an accidental icon. He called himself lucky. One morning, Zalthera woke him with a smile. "Ready? For what?" "For the throne expansion vote. You're co-ruling now. That means decisions." He groaned. "Can't we delay that? Let the pipes settle?" She chuckled. "Come on, Flush Lord. The galaxy waits for no man's bladder. He pulled himself up, adjusted his robe, and muttered, I used to just mop floors. Now you decide where the water flows. They walked into the chamber together. The final vote passed. Dual species throne installations would be mandatory on all future stations. Earth would lead design and cultural training. As they stepped onto their shared dais, Cal glanced sideways. Still can't believe this all started because I had to pee. Southera smiled. Sometimes the smallest urge leads to the biggest impact. And to think, he said, I almost didn't flush. She leaned in. You flushed my throne. Then my pride. Then my heart. He smirked. Guess I left quite the deposit. Their hands locked. The council applauded. Galactic peace had never been sealed with such pressure. And as the anthem of Earth's plumbing guild played softly in the background, Cal thought, there's no going back now. I'm a toilet legend. And he was, forever flushed into history.